Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner, place where we talk about everything that is geek, be TV, movie, video games, and comics. And pardon my voice, I'm battling a cold. Been battling a cold lately, and still trying to get over it. Hopefully soon. Uh, uh, Bear with me. Hopefully, I won't sniff so much of this whole thing. Disrupt everything. But as last time I teased it, this episode is going to be all about what I think are some of the best villains, and possibly I guess you could say they're kind of underrated, really, because as I said before, there's some very overrated villains out there like Joker and Lex and Doc Ock. And there are plenty of others that I may do another show about. But right now, I'm going to talk about some of the ones who, I guess you could call them, some of the most underrated, and I think they're some of the greatest villains of all. And one of them I think that immediately comes to mind is in Star Wars. And everybody that says about the Darth Vader gets all the attention and everything. I don't think he's overrated. I think he is a great villain, but I think he overshadows the true villain of the movie. Matter of fact, the entire 6-episode saga, and that villain, I think the true villain of the whole thing, that being Darth Sidious, also known as everybody more so as Emperor Palpatine. I mean, to me and to my brother also, I think he's the better villain of them. I think he's the better villain more so than Darth Vader. I mean, for crying out loud, this is the man who lured Luke Skywalker. This is the guy who lured Anakin Skywalker to the dark side to become Darth Vader. I mean, he's the one who caused him to become so racked with guilt and everything that he came to the dark side, and also kept him on the dark side for several years. I mean, he's the one who essentially trained. The Darth Maul gets so much attention, and essentially, this is the man who trained Darth Maul to be the killing machine that he is. And also, this is the same man who took a disillusioned Jedi like Count Dooku and lured him to the dark side with promises of power and a place in his empire. And we saw how that happened. I mean, think about it. Of all the Sith, he's the one. Maul got killed, but he survived. Tyrannus got killed, but he didn't. And in the end, even though Vader got killed and ended up put in a life support suit, he still didn't get killed. I mean, he's even stronger. I mean, Anakin probably could have been stronger than him. It probably could have overthrown him had he not let his anger get moved. But I think Sidious was stronger than Anakin at the time. I mean, Anakin hadn't delved into his true powers yet. I mean, he's even stronger than Star Killer in the Force Unleashed series. I mean, think about it. He's even stronger than Star Killer. I mean, Star Killer, as strong as he was, the Emperor still wound up dead at the hands of he still wound up dead, even trying to stop the Emperor. He still wound up destroyed. And as it is just, to me, the Emperor is just so much a villain, even more of a, Sidious is even more of a villain than Vader is. I mean, Vader's more of a victim. I mean, Vader turned into a villain, yes. But the true villain of the whole thing was Sidious the whole time. He was the master manipulator behind the Clone Wars. He manipulates his way into power. He uses the Trade Federation to get into power. He then uses that opportunity 2 years later, start sowing the seeds of distrust and cause the Clone Wars. Sure, he played. I would say he's playing both sides as a senator and as a Sith Lord, but it's still he was the master manipulator behind the Clone Wars. He, he calls the Clone Wars. He, he calls the Clone Wars, even though he was playing both sides. He called the Clone War with the one sole purpose in mind to take to destroy the system itself, then pick up the pieces and form an empire out of it. And he did so in episode. He ended up doing so. I mean, he took both sides. He essentially, after all that happened, he did turn on the Jedi, as everyone knew he would. Turn on the Jedi, destroyed the sick Vader on the Jedi. He sick Vader on the Jedi, turned the Republic into an empire, ordered the Separatists to stand down, which they did. He destroyed the Separatists. Vader destroyed the Separatists, and eventually picked up the pieces as an empire, turned the Republic into an empire. And he was the one behind the scenes, essentially pulling Vader's strings and making him do his bidding, and making him look like the figurehead of the Sith, while he was the one really running the show. I mean, to me, that makes him an even better villain than even Vader himself. I mean, and on top of that, even after he was finally destroyed in Return of the Jedi, he still didn't die. I mean, in the end, he wound up finding one way to become immortal like he had been wanting to, and kept making clone bodies of himself to keep for his spirit to keep inhabiting over and over and over again. And he even turned Luke Skywalker finally to the dark side. I mean, in the end, Palpatine was finally destroyed, but I mean, he could not be stopped by anyone hardly. I mean, I forgot what finally destroyed it, but in the end, he just kept coming back like a cockroach. And to me, if that doesn't make him the better villain and the better Sith in Star Wars, then I don't know what does. I mean, he's just like the villain that would not die. And to me, that makes him the better villain even more so than Vader. And I think he deserves a little bit more respect. I think to me, is a little bit underappreciated. And to me, he's a little bit underappreciated. I think he should be more recognized as the true Star Wars villain that he is. And another villain that I think, and leads me to another villain that I think is, to me, is an even better villain in the pantheon of villains, and this is in the world of Superman, Doomsday. I mean, to me, everybody says Luthor is his greatest foe, and as you heard me say before in a previous video, to me, Luthor is way overused and way overrated. And I don't think he's Superman's greatest foe at all. I just think he's somebody that Superman could take out at like nothing. But Doomsday is the greatest challenge that Superman had ever faced. I mean, you're looking at a creature that just shows up all of a sudden, buried thousands of years ago underground, and just busts his way out of the ground with bare hands, and proceeds to tear apart anything and everything in his path, whether it be a semi truck to a bird. I mean, he just no rhyme, no reason starts trashing everything. Makes mincemeat out of Justice League just about. I mean, puts Blue Beetle in a coma. About kills Booster Gold. And takes Guy Gardner, smashes his face in the ground, stomps his face in the ground, and then punches his face in the ground. I mean, it just basically rubs him in the dirt, stomps him into the dirt. And it takes, and even Superman can hardly, it takes Superman to finally take him down. But in taking him down, he had to sacrifice his own life. I mean, to me, that's what makes Doomsday Superman's greatest foe. He has the one up on every other villain in the DC universe. He killed Superman. He killed the unkillable. I mean, there's been an imaginary story before where Superman gets killed. This is the only time that it happened for real. And he's the one who has the credit for having done that. I mean, he hasn't done it since, but still, he's an nigh unstoppable force that took down Superman. I mean, Superman took him down, but in doing that, Superman had to sacrifice himself just to take down Doomsday, and he still didn't stay dead. I mean, he had the ability to regenerate and come back to life over and over again, and on top of that, adapt an invulnerability to what killed him before. I mean, like say he was shot in the head, he would adapt. He would come back from that and couldn't be shot in the head no more. I mean, they did that to him on Justice League, like a version of Superman lobotomized him, and then later on he comes back from that, and that world Superman tries to do the exact same thing to him, and it doesn't work. I mean, it's been portrayed over and over again that he gets killed one way, he'll come back and adapt to that, and he can't get killed the same way twice. I mean, if that don't make a good villain, I don't know what does. I mean, an unstoppable rampaging indestruction that just goes into everybody from Superman to Darkseid even. I mean, he even stomped Darkseid into the dirt. He kicked him into the dirt. I mean, will he be? I mean, and then later on, he winds up gaining intelligence and sentience, even. And when they erased that, I don't know. I mean, that was an interesting facet to the character too. I don't know why they erased that, but they did. But they erased that. I don't know if it was after Infinite Crisis or what. But that was an interesting factor to the Doomsday character, and that version of Doomsday, I would love to see return. Of course, I love the original version too, even more than that. The one that just don't think, just stomps. You know, it's more like a mindless Hulk than anything else, and I like that. So that's why I think Doomsday is the better character. I mean, he killed Superman, and has the ability to come back. I mean, that's my main reason for why I think he's the better villain over any other Superman villain. That he killed Superman with. He didn't use any kind of technology. He did it with his bare hand. His bare hand. And to me, that makes him a force to be reckoned with. And definitely Superman's number one villain in my eyes. And that brings me to the next one in the Batman universe, and for probably about the same reason, Bane. I mean, sure, he's in Dark Knight Rises. I mean, he finally got his due in Dark Knight Rises when he got to be, and when he won't do bumbling mindless bodyguard Bane of Batman and Robin campiness. I mean, that was terrible. This version of Bane in Dark Knight Rises was cold, calculating, like he was in the comics. I mean, he's a criminal mastermind that essentially slowly but surely orchestrated the destruction of the Batman. I mean, in the comics, they didn't go quite the direction that they did in Dark Knight Rises, where he knew who Batman was. He knew how to destroy him without going after him physically after that. I mean, he does everything, even go out and all that was left for him to go after him physically is to draw Batman, have Batman drawn to him so he can get him down there and just lay waste to Batman. I mean, it's just lay waste to him and then finally break his back. Which to me in the movie won't as epic as in the comics, but in the comics is a whole lot more epic, but it's still, he broke his back either way. And I said that's why to me in the comics Bane is so dangerous. I mean, he's a criminal mastermind. He plotted Batman's destruction to a T. Turn out all those criminals, wear him out, wear him down, trying to recapture all those escapees, then attack him in his own home Well, I guess you could say to my bad, he did know that Bruce Wayne was Batman. Attacks him in his own home, in his own cave. Actually goes on his own turf and beats the flying mess out of Batman. And then, as I said, breaks his back. I mean, if that don't make, I mean, and they say Joker's his best villain. To me, Bane's his best villain because he took down the Batman. The same reason that why Doomsday is Superman's greatest. I think Doomsday is Superman's greatest foe. Bane is Batman's greatest foe because he took him out for a long extended time, or extended period of time, for about a year or so. And it took a year or so for Batman to recoup and come back. And to me, that's why Bane, to me, deserves the title of Batman's greatest foe. And I think Bane in the comics should have gotten a little bit more. Should have got a little bit more of a rep for that. And to me, that's why I think Bane's his greatest foe. And then, like I said, and I think he's a lot more of his greatest foe than Batman and than Joker is any day of the week. And I said to me, that's just a few villains. And that there is just, and that to me is just a few villains. I said I could keep going, but that to me that's just three main villains that should be getting more, more love. That don't get more love and respect that than any other villain. Than more love and respect than they do, basically. So, what is y'all's favorite villain? Are you a Doomsday fan, Bane fan, Emperor Palpatine fan? I said, do you think do you have a favorite villain that you don't think is getting enough respect or fanfare? Leave it. If you do, leave it in the comment box. So if you have comments about any, and you have any other comments about anything else, just leave them in the comment box. You have any questions or ideas? Any questions or ideas of things you want to hear me talk about on the show? Leave them in there too. I'll be glad to hear from you. And so I'm always looking for new ideas. I love any suggestions you may have about stuff you want to hear me talk about. And I'm always open for new ideas, always. And leave all Annie and I guess that's end of this week's edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. And next time on our show, we'll be talking about some characters that I think are a little bit overrated. And it's going to be, I guess, kind of controversial. And I think I'm going to be kind of poking at some popular characters on here that I think get too much attention entirely. And I'll go into more of that next week. And until then, I'll see y'all next time.